Hey everybody, welcome back to Jay's for Down the Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay, here today with Coach Jerry Sinz. He's the head coach at Edgar High School in Wisconsin. Won 7 state championships, over 456 games. Coach, you are in your 48th season. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Talk some football.
You're very welcome.
Yes, sir. So, Coach, tell us, how's everything going with you personally, on and off the field, as you're getting into this, as I said, your 48th season being a head football coach?
Well, it's interesting. My second son is celebrating his 48th birthday today.
Okay.
And, he lives in California, in Temecula Valley. And he actually has a son, my grandson, who's a senior, who's one of the top defensive players in the state of California. And, has some recruiting looks and stuff. But so yeah, it was kind of interesting. It just happens to be that day. But I have 4 sons, and my oldest one is a principal at a high school in Wausau, and then the second one is he works for BSN Sports, and he's a West Coast vice president of sales.
Wow.
And then the third one is a high school administrator down by Madison, Wisconsin. And my youngest son coaches football at Purdue University.
Okay. Wow. That's here, Coach. So it all runs in the family there. Football is a family thing for you guys. So, Coach, tell us, just give us a backstory how you got into this field and then what brought you to Edgar High School, where you currently are right now.
Well, I played high school football under a guy who's in the Hall of Fame in Wisconsin, a guy named Arnie McKernan, in a small town called Elmwood, Wisconsin. Then I went to University of Wisconsin Stout, and I played college football. And I really liked it. And so when I got my first teaching job, I wanted to coach. Coming to Edgar was just kind of by luck, accident. I had interviewed at 4 or 5 different schools. Back then, I was a technology and engineering instructor, and there were many, many openings for people in that field at the time. So you could pick just about any school you wanted. And I liked a couple of the other coaches that were here. I liked the head football coach, and I was also going to be an assistant in basketball, and I liked that guy too. So I'd never really hardly ever heard of Edgar before, but I just decided to come here. And then over the years, as I had my sons, I almost left 2 or 3 times to go to some bigger schools, but then I just ended up staying because my kids enjoyed the town and so on.
Yeah, so that's good to hear, Coach. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but today is National Coaches Day, so happy National Coaches Day to you, Coach.
Well,
and all
thank
the football
you.
coaches out there. I just found it out not too long ago. I was like, well, that's actually a holiday. It seems like they have a holiday for everything now.
Should be.
Right, yeah. Because you guys, you put so much time and effort into this profession. It truly shows that you love it, and you dedicate your life to it. So it's much respect to all you guys. I play football myself, and our coaches really they sacrifice a lot for us. So But as I mentioned, Coach, 7 state championships. You've won over 456 games. You're in your 48th season. Tell us how what was the key part in that, and just the success that you guys have had here under your tutelage. Just talk about that.
Well, the first thing I think that was really important was recruiting. We did not have many guys out for football. I came to Edgar as an assistant coach. Straight out of college, and I was here for 3 years as an assistant. And my 3rd year here, we ended the season with only about 17, 18 players on the team. We'd had some injuries and things like this. Several of those guys out of the 18 guys we had at the end were seniors, so we knew that we just had a handful of guys coming back the next year. So our head coach left, and he went somewhere else, and we were actually considering dropping football. Wow. And then the administrator talked me into taking over the team. And so I got some new assistants, but the main thing we did is I checked with all the physical education teachers, like at the elementary schools, and found out who the athletes were in the 7th and 8th grade and where they lived. and went and actually visited their parents, kind of like, college coaches do now, and just talked with them. And the first year we had about 40 guys out. And of course, the team started improving a lot. And by the second year, we won the conference championship. And I think my fifth year as a coach, we won the state championship and went undefeated. Of course, those were guys we had for 5 years in eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade. So then everything just kind of took off from there. And over the years, we've had, even though we're a small school, we've had as many as 85 guys, in a high school team. This year, we're down in the 40s. Our enrollment has declined some. We've actually won a state championship in Division 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we've won in 4 different divisions as our enrollment
Wow.
kept dropping. But we're going up a little bit now. So, next year we might be back in Division 6 instead of 7.
Right. Yeah. A lot of schools, and I know since around the country are, the region alignments are changing right now. Division alignments are changing. I know here in Georgia, a lot of teams are moving up divisions and, things like that. So, it's just more population, those things like that, that play a role. But just a great success you've had there, and just continuing to sustain it. And, I tip my hat off to you, Coach, because winning that many championships is very hard to do. Winning one alone, that's hard. So it's just, just letting you know that, I tip my hat off to you for that, Coach. So you guys have started the season out 6-1. What's been the key to this good start, and are you feeling good right now with where your team is at this point in the season?
Well, we had a fantastic team in 2020. We actually played for the state championship in 2018 and 2019. And we played a lot of sophomores in 2018. And we played a lot of juniors in 2019. We lost both those games tight. One of them was like 21-15. The other one was 6-0. Got a couple touchdowns called back in that one that would have won it. But in 2020, then we had this big group of seniors. I mean, big for us is 15. We had 15 seniors who had tons of experience and had been in a state championship game 2 years in a row. And of course, that was the year that the COVID and the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then our state did not sponsor state championships. So we just played anybody we could back then and had a great season. Well, then all those guys graduated. So last year we kind of were starting over a little bit. We had a pretty good team last year, but we got beat some very close games and got beat out of the playoffs by an undefeated team. And now this year we're kind of a mixed bag. We have a small group of seniors. It's the smallest group of seniors we've ever had, I think, in all my years of coaching. Some of them just have jobs now and they're doing other things, but we only have 6 seniors. We have 14 juniors, and we've played well though. We had one game that we didn't play very well, and unfortunately, we were playing the defending state champs from last year, a neighboring school of ours, and we lost that game. Tomorrow night, though, we play a 7-0 team who's a division bigger than us, and they're rated, I think, about 5th in the state. So obviously, we know we got our hands full tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And you mentioned just it's hard, right? Because you have those sustained runs, and then once those group of guys graduate, you leave. It's just a matter of getting this other crew ready, getting them prepared. And but you guys again have had a good start to the season, and so who are some of those players right now that are sticking out to you and your staff that are, that are making themselves noticed and having a good impact on your team?
Well, our best player this year is a junior. His name is Carter Butt, and he's about 5'9", about 210 pounds. He has thighs like A.J. Dillon. So he's a hard guy to bring down. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year as a sophomore, and he also plays middle linebacker, and so he's one of our leading tacklers too. Most of our guys go both ways because we have a small school, and he's having another really good year. Some of our seniors that are doing well, Brady Stencil, one of our guards and defensive tackles, is about a 6'1", 230-pound guy, and he's playing well. Carver Higgins, our 4.0 student guy, he's a good guy to have on a team because he remembers everything. He's an offensive lineman too, and a defensive lineman. We have one really good wide receiver this year who's a thin guy, about 6'3", but he's fast and shifty and has good hands. And I think he's only touched the ball. We don't throw all that much. We're trying to throw a little bit more now, but he's only touched the ball about 8 or 9 times, and I think he's got 6 touchdowns. So when you get him the ball, he's pretty good at getting away and the fireman guys and outrunning them and things like that. So we have a few guys, like that are pretty top, notch players. Our basis of our team, though, is juniors this year now again, because like I said, we only have 6 seniors. So with the 14 juniors, we're gaining some good experience for both this year and next year.
That's good. Yes, sir. So, Coach, talk about what your philosophy is. You mentioned you like to run the ball. So, just what offensively, defensively, special teams wise, what is important for your team, and what is the main priorities, on all 3 sides of the ball for you guys there?
Well, we always talk about the things that decide the game are turnovers, penalties. Special teams are huge. We work very hard on punt return, kickoff return. I think we have about 4 touchdowns this year on kickoff or punt returns. We really try to work our kickers hard so we can kick the ball about to the goal line and hope that the other team, takes it and we can pin them by the 20 or inside the 20. The game we lost, they had a better kicker and punter than we did, and they used it to their advantage well.
Right.
But we work really hard on weight training. We lift in the mornings. We started that, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. We actually lived on at like 6:15, 6:30 in the morning until about 7:30. And kids seem to like that. We'll usually have like only maybe 1 or 2 people that miss when we have the morning weightlifting sessions. They can eat breakfast at school and after that and so on. Obviously, we're big on the scouting and watching film. We use Huddle, and we have film study every Sunday evening. And the offensive line coach meets with them first. But the kids are probably there for 2.5 hours studying film. So, we get that down. We also review it then during the week when they have free time, like during noon hour and things like that. So the weight work and, the film study, those things are big. I just got here, tonight from our Thursday night spaghetti. We always have that. The seniors' parents put that on for the team.
Right, yeah.
Every year. And so that's something that, I think is important, just to get the kids together for a meal each week. The coaches come, the managers come, the players come, and the moms and dads, put it on. So they're kind of happy to do that. So that's another big part of the team, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Those senior dinners are, important, right? And just having everybody over, and it's the bonding that you build, right? The camaraderie with your players, your coaches, everybody part of your staff. And Coach, you mentioned film, right? And football really is just as mental as it is physical. You know that you've been in this game a long time. It's important. So, it's important to watch film and get this because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. We all know that, right? And just seeing those reps over and over again. So I really believe that that's very helpful. For all football teams, on all levels, right? So, once you see yourself on film, then you realize what you got to do correctly and, or not do those things of that nature. So, what do you feel like, Coach, is the most challenging part today to coach high school football players right now? Because, you've been in this game a long time, as I've said. So in today's world, what do you feel like is the most challenging part about coaching?
Well, I think one thing now is that anybody that's in high school that wants a job can have a job. There's such a shortage of labor in America that anybody that's 16, 17 years old that's willing to work, he can get a job and he can go right to work at 4 o'clock after school and work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and he can work weekends and so on. So when kids get to be juniors or seniors, if they don't see themselves as being a really good player or possibly starting, it's becoming more and more difficult to keep those kind of quality like backup guys or reserve guys on the team because they just go get a job somewhere and buy themselves a truck or a car or whatever. And it's hard for me to even try to convince them not to do it because, of course, some of them say, "Oh no, I'm saving money for technical school or I'm saving money for college." I think that's one of the tougher things. Years ago, jobs weren't so readily available for 16-year-old kids or 17-year-old kids as they are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like now with the way the game has evolved and changed with that attitudes with kids, has changed with it, do you find it harder to keep, players focused or things of that nature and just keeping them all locked in on one goal? Do you find that challenging as a coach?
Well, the social media stuff, can you see all right yet?
I can see you.
Okay. Yeah, the social media stuff, of course, is a big part of, you know, big part of the problem, I guess I would say. We don't let our kids use their cell phones on the bus on away trips. No phones out on the bus whatsoever. You have to focus in on what you're doing. If the kids say something to me about, Coach, did you see this on Twitter? Did you see this on Snapchat? I go, no, I didn't see it and I don't want to see it. And I don't care what some other fan or some other player said about us or our team. And, so all that sort of thing is kind of a distraction. Um, they know, of course, who the leading rushers are from the week before in the state and passers and receivers and all this and that too. And so I think kids get caught up in that comparison game maybe a little bit. Some guys maybe want a few more carries or a few more touches, things like that. But I basically have just coached the same way I have for years, and I just kind of try to ignore that stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned the comparison, right? We're always on social media and players, just looking, hey, well, this guy's like you said, leading receiver in the state, or leading passer. It's like, man, maybe if I could beat him out if I got some more carries or I got some more looks, right? Or man, coach needs to play me on deep, play me more on defense or things like this, and all those things because I used to be a player myself. I graduated in 2021, and played football, but it's the thing about it, is that you have to just focus in and lock in on your game. And, I feel like players just really more centralized on improving their craft, and just focusing on the things that they can do and get better each and every day, just working hard to get better each day, and just taking it one day at a time, having patience, continuing to, be locked in at practice because practice is important. I'm sure you guys preach that, like, hey, yeah, we want to all play on Friday night, but we still have practice through the week. You got to come to practice and you got to work and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Today is it's very challenging for you guys to keep, hone in all these personalities on your team. So, but Coach, what are the keys for tomorrow night's game? You guys are facing an undefeated team, and like I say, they just got the state championship last year. So, what's going to be key for your team to getting that win?
Well, yeah, the team we play is very experienced. They now have several players who've played for 3 years. They have a very good quarterback, both running and passing. I believe he's got maybe 900 yards, both rushing and passing. He has double-digit touchdowns, both running and passing. And so he presents, some issues for us. But overall, their team is just balanced. They have big receivers, 6'2", 6'3" type athletes that, are bigger than our defensive backs, and so on. So yeah, they have an excellent punter who boots the ball high and deep. So we're gonna have to really play basically an error-free game, to be in the game and to hold them down. But we've played a lot of these big type games in the past, and usually our kids get up for them and play well.
Yeah, and and the big three things, you mentioned these earlier, and just No penalties, right? No stupid penalties. No turnovers. Those right. You built big games. You cannot turn the football over, and no big plays for touchdowns on defense. Like get them down, right? They make a play, get them down. Don't let them don't let them score. So, Coach, we appreciate your time talking with us today on the podcast, and good luck to you guys tomorrow night and the rest of the season. I'll be following you there, watching you guys, and just. Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That was Coach Jerry Sinz of Edgar High School, 7-time state champion, won over 456 games in his 48th season, guys. We appreciate him coming on the podcast, and make sure you check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.